sometimes we're going to be given the area of a figure and need to work backwards to find out one of its missing dimensions. So in this case, even though we're going to start out really easy, make sure you follow my advice. This is going to be really helpful as our shapes and formulas get more complicated down the road. So in our first example, we're looking at a rectangle. Always start with your area formula. So take a look back in your notes or go from memory. You should know that the area of a rectangle, the area of any parallelogram, is area is equal to base times height. So always start with your formula by writing out the formula. Then we're going to go ahead and plug in the values that we know. So they will give you the area if we're working backwards. So our area is 133 square feet. And at this point, some of you are probably just screaming like, hey, just divide. I know what we need to do, just divide. But again, trust me, these are going to get more complicated. So that's why I want to lay this foundation of actually starting with the formula. Then plug in your values for base and height. Well, the base is unknown to us. The height's going to be 7. So I'm going to say x for my base and then times a height of 7. Okay, and if I rewrite that so it's a little bit neater, I get 133 equals 7x. Okay, those of you that were screaming, just divide, just divide. Well, you're right. We are just going to divide the area by 7. But once again, trust me, these are going to get more complicated. Our formulas will be more complicated, and they're going to, you'll see in the next example, change up the kinds of information they give us. So start with that formula. It's very important. Once I divide this out, though, if I divide by 7, I get an x value of 19, and so the base of this rectangle must be 19 feet. And do make sure you label your answer. These are so easy to check too. Since we're saying the base is 19, just check your area formula. Does 19 times 7 equal the area that was given to you, 133? And it does check out. So these are great, easy ones to check out. Okay, let's try one where we're already starting to get a little more complicated down here. So they have not given you a picture. They tell you the base of a triangle is twice its height. So I'm going to start with drawing a picture. I'm a very visual person, so I like to see what I'm looking at. So draw any old triangle you want, and I'm going to draw the height in, which would be right there. It's perpendicular to the base. And then let's label some things. Let's see. The base of the triangle is twice the height. So they actually have not given me any information. I don't know what the height of this triangle is, so I'm just going to call the height h. I don't know what it is. All they say about the base then is it's twice the height. So if I represent that algebraically, I'm going to represent that as 2 times h. So there's actually 2 things I don't know. So unlike last time, I'm not going to be able to just divide some things out. So now that I have my picture though, start with your formula. That's key for doing these problems. So since we're dealing with a triangle, our area formula is 1/2 base times height. And then plug in some information that you know. They will always give you the area if you're going to be working backwards. So 36 needs to be equal to 1/2 times, well, the base was just labeled as 2h, and the height is just labeled as h. So I have this algebraic equation that I need to go through and solve now. So let's do a little bit of simplifying, a little bit of algebra to simplify this out. I'm allowed to multiply things in any order, so my numbers are right next to each other, which was nice, but I could multiply them regardless of where they were, as long as everything was being multiplied. And 1/2 times 2 is just 1, so I'll write the 1 down, although essentially it just cancels out. Next up, let's multiply the variables together. H times h gets me h squared. So that's the equation that I've now simplified. That 1, like I said, I cannot write it. I could ignore it if I wanted to. Otherwise, divide both sides by 1 to get rid of it, but really it just stays the same. So 36 is equal to h squared. That will be an important step if you have a number besides 1 in front. To finish this out, to get h by itself, I need to take the square root of both sides. So to finish this one, let's take the square root. 36 is a perfect square. That was nice of them. So I get an h value of 6 once I'm all done with my algebra. Now let's go back and make sure we answer their questions, though. They've asked us to find the base and the height of this triangle. So h must be height. So if I just write this out real quick, oops. I've got a height which is equal to 6, and I want to label this. It looks like I was working with inches squared for area, so my height must be 6 inches. Now the base, they told me, was double the height. It was twice the height, so my base must be 12 inches if I double that. So those should be my 2 missing dimensions, and once again, these are really easy to check. Just do 1/2 times 6 times 12, and make sure that does equal 36, the area they gave you, and in this case it will check out.